Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Khoj Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. We continue with our recitation from Gaudi Kabir Ji Ki. The recitation for today. Gaudi Gaj Nav Gaj Das Gaj Ikkis Puriya Ek Tanai 60 सूत नवखंड 72 पाट लगो अधकाई गई बुनावन माहो घर छोड़िए जाए जुलाहो रहाओ गजी न मिनिए तोल न तुलिए पाचन सेर अढ़ाई जो करी भाजन पेग न पावे चगर करे गरहाई दिन की बैठ खसम की बरकस एह बेला कत्याई छूटे कुंडे भीगे पुरिया चलो जुलाहो रिसाई छोजी नली तंत नहीं निकसै नतर रही और झाई छोड़ पसार इहाँ रोह बपरी कहो कबीर समझाई छोजी नली तंत नहीं निकसै नतर रही और झाई छोड़ पसार इहाँ रोह बपरी कहो कबीर समझाई. Now, we all know that Kabir Ji was a weaver by profession. So, not surprisingly, he has used the metaphor of a weaver's weave to describe the journey of the self, if you will, through this process of creating a body and then forgetting why it created the body. It's a very fascinating passage, a little difficult to gather, but we'll give it a shot. Gaj Nav Gaj Das Gaj Ikkis Puriya Ek Tanai. So we see that Kabir Ji is giving us a sense of the measures that are used in a weaver's frame. And typically, a weaver's frame consists of a roll of 40 yards. Gaj Nav, but these are references to the creation of a body. This is the metaphor of a body. A weaver is to describe the creation of a body. And the numbers that he has, Gaj Nav, Gaj Das, Gaj Ikkis, are used to describe the creation of the human weave. And the numbers are the 9 openings in the body, the 10 sensory organs, 5 Gyan Indras and 5 Karam Indris as they are called, and the 21 so-called essences. So he has used that to say this is how the body is put together, is weaved. Think of it as a weave. And the weave has these yarns, sart soot, that travel lengthwise, and an additional 72 that go widthwise. So he's speaking about the yarn. But here, the 72, 72, refers to the nadis. If you recall the previous passage, he's still talking to the yogis. So 72, the nerves. These are patalago adikai. They are used to wrap around the body. The body is wrapped. Gai banavan maho kar chodiye jai julaho. The julaha here is a reference to the self, the soul, if you will, comes to the loom. In other words, it readies itself to have this human experience. It leaves the home of the Julaha, the creator, goes to take birth as a weaver. So we are allotted a role, if you will, naam actually, before a body is created in which to birth. गजी ना मिनिए तोल ना तुलिए पाचन शेर अढ़ाई जो करी पाचन बेग न पावे chagar kare gurahai. This is what happens after birth. The measures of the length of the fabric in yards, the weights that are required are forgotten. In other words, one does not remember the purpose for having come here, for having woven this human body. But instead, Pachanasir Adhai, it works and thinks for 2.5 pounds of food daily. In other words, our priorities change. We become concerned with the needs of the body. And that is where we lose our sense of direction. And then what happens? If we do not get this pachan, jo kar pachan beg na pave, if he does not get this bodily need satisfied, chagar kare hai, he starts getting restless and fights with the owner of the house, which is the mind. The mind becomes restless because one is only thinking about physical needs. Pachanasir adhai, 2.5. दिन की बैठ खसम की बरकस इह बेला कत आई छूटे कुंडे पीगे पुरिया चलो जुलाहो रिसाई. So what happens is you live in sadness. By turning away, barkas, in other words, forgetting the purpose that you are here for, and getting involved in the needs of the body, in the rat race, if you will, a person does not realize that bela, this time, this opportunity is not going to happen again. Din ki baith khasam ki barkas bela kat ai. When are you going to get this chance again, if ever? So you see, chute kunde bhige puriya. The yarns, the bobbins are kept wet. Those are metaphors that are being used here for the effort to weave a piece of cloth. So all of this machinery that you have, the body, is not used. Your allotted lifespan is over. Chalio, you die, and you die in sadness, risai. Chute kunde pige puriya chalio julaho risai. So the weaver, namely the self, lives in sadness. Chochi nali tant nahi nikse natar rahi urjhai chod pasar iharo bapari kaho Kabir samajhai. So Kabir ji is asking us to understand. Do as you are told by the master. Leave attachments aside. Attachment to the temptations of the world. And keep in your mind divine, the self, the purpose of the self. So breathing will stop one day and then you can do nothing. But now you remain entangled. So this is a very pointed criticism from Kabir ji to live in remembrance and mindfulness of the self. On that note, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.